Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the fifth class of Davaning with Meaning. Today we're going to be discussing Birchot Hatorah. Every morning we have to make 3 brachas and then a little learning of Torah of Birchot Hatorah, the brachas that we say before we start learning Torah or the beginning of the day. Now it says in the Shulchan Aruch that Birchot Hatorah tzarich lizaher me'od. Why do we have to be so careful when it comes to the brachas of the Torah? Meaning every bracha that we say, we should have the right intent and we should say it with a lot of kavana. But why with Birchot Hatorah, it specifically says that we have to be very, very careful. Chazal teach us in Masechet Gitin that one of the reasons that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed is because people didn't make the bracha of the Torah before they started learning. Meaning, they learned Torah, they just didn't say the bracha. And I want to ask, okay, is that such a terrible thing? Meaning, okay, yeah, if there is a bracha that needs to be said, we should say the bracha. Just like there's a bracha before we eat the sandwich, just like the bracha before we do Netilat Yadayim or after Netilat Yadayim. But why is it so crucial, ad kedei kach, that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed because they didn't make the bracha? I think the reason Chazal teach us is that they didn't give the right respect to the Torah. Meaning, if you go to a high school today in Israel, you'll see that there's a lot of different things to learn. There's math, and there's science, and there's Tanakh, and there's sport, there's gym class, and there's all these different special and important things to learn. But it's put on the same level as learning a science. Meaning Tanakh, it's like a history book. Okay, you learn it, it's interesting, it might be our history of the nation, but there isn't necessarily kedusha, holiness to it. And that's exactly what Chazal are telling us. No, you have to realize that when you're dealing with Torah, it's not like science, it's not like math. They're all very important to learn. We all need to learn math and science, etc. But when you're learning Torah, there's kedusha, there's holiness. It's a different level, and we have to give it the right respect. That's why before we learn Torah every single day, we wake up, we have to make these brachot for the Torah because we have to realize, acknowledge that it's not like every other thing in this world. So the first bracha goes like this: Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu lecholam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. The word la'asok b'divrei Torah raises a question. Why is the word la'asok? To deal with Torah. I should probably make the bracha lilmod divrei Torah, likro et Torah, right? To read the Torah, to learn the Torah. Why? To deal with Torah, to la'asok. I mean, obviously the Torah doesn't want us all to be people that make our money by learning Torah. There's even a Easter with that. So what is the word la'asok? When we learn Torah, it's very important to understand that it's not only when I have a sefer open, when I'm learning a book, that's when I'm learning Torah. Chazal are telling us that every single thing that we do throughout our day has an aspect of la'asok b'divrei Torah. When I learn Torah in the morning, it's not the 10 minutes or the hour, the 2 hours I'm learning the Torah. Every single aspect of my life should be driven by the Torah, by the mitzvot, by the Torah values. That's the la'asok b'divrei Torah. Throughout my whole day, I'm dealing with Torah. The second bracha is ve'arev na Hashem Elokeinu et divrei Toratcha befinu ובפיות עמך בית ישראל ונהיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל כולנו יודעי שמך ולומדי תורתך לשמה ברוך אתה השם המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. We ask for Hashem for the Torah to be sweet. Ha'arevna, it should be sweet on our tongue when we learn it. And if it's sweet on our tongue when we learn it, we'll be able to pass the Torah in a good way to our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and all the remaining generations of Am Yisrael. Because if it's not sweet, if it's bitter, we're not going to want to learn the Torah. We might have the obligation to learn the Torah, we might have the mitzvah to learn the Torah, but we're asking Hashem, please, make it sweet. And you know, when you learn Torah and you're enjoying it, you know that you want more and more and more and more. Because that is the sweetness of the Torah. When you have a good meal, let's say you go to a restaurant and you get a really good meal, you have a good steak and potatoes and salad, and you're really, really full, there's always a little bit extra room for that dessert. Why? Because it's sweet. It's something that you want a little bit more of. So the Torah, we ask Hashem, ha'arevna, make it sweet for us. We'll want more. If you go to shul, there's a lot of different jobs and positions in the shul. There's the rabbi, there's a gabbai, there's the Baal Korah, the person that lanes the Torah, there's the chazan, all very, very important tafkidim. But you know what I think is the most important tafkid? It's the candy man. The candy man that gives the candies to the kids on Shabbat. I think that's the most special and important role in the shul. Because it's that person that gets the kids excited to come to shul again and again and again. It gets them to be relevant, to come to the shul. That's this bracha. We want the Torah to be sweet. Another thing that is important to say about this bracha is that when we learn Torah, it's not for us only. It's not only for our generation. Just like we got the Torah from our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, it's our obligation to give the Torah to our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. It's our obligation to keep the Torah alive, to keep it relevant for every generation. The third bracha, Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu Cholam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato, Baruch Ata Hashem, Noten HaTorah. The Torah was, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to Am Yisrael. He could have chose all the nations of the world, but he gave us the Torah. The Torah is the biggest present that we could have. It's what links us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Once we have the Torah from Hashem, V'lo b'shamayim, it's not anymore in the heavens, it's given to Am Yisrael, we have the ability to keep the Torah going and keeping it alive. That's the beautiful connection between the Torah Shebichtav, the written Torah, and the Torah Shebe'al Peh, the oral Torah. Hashem gave us the Torah to keep it going from generation to generation, keeping it relevant for Am Yisrael, ad sof kol hadorot. Now, after we make a bracha, what's the next thing we have to do? We have to do the thing that we made the bracha on. Let's say we make a bracha, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. The next thing we do before we say anything, before we do anything else, is to take a bite from the sandwich. So here, we did Birchot Hatorah. What's the most natural thing for us to do? To learn Torah. So Chazal gave us here a little bit of Torah Shebichtav, a few psukim from the Torah, and then we also have a Mishnah, and we also have a Gemara. The Torah Shebichtav. Ve'edaber Hashem el Moshe le'emor, daber el Aaron ve'el banav le'emor, ko tevarchu et bnei Yisrael emor lahem. Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Ye'er Hashem panav alecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Hashem panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. These psukim are the psukim of the Birkat Kohanim. When the Kohanim go up to Duchen and the Shul, these are the words that they say, blessing Am Yisrael, that we should have Kirvat Elokim, we should be close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we should have Shalom. These are also the words that we bless our children on Friday night. And that tradition of blessing the kids on Friday night is probably one of the most spiritual and one of the most matuk moments of the week. It's really what my whole week builds up towards. Taking my kids, giving them a special bracha. When we give the bracha to the girls, we say, Yisimech Elokim Kesara, Rivka, Rachel, V'Leah. Our four mothers. Seemingly, we should say the same bracha for the boys, just with the fathers. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, but that's not what we say. We say Yisimcha Elokim. We want Hashem to put you like Ephraim v'Menashe. Why Ephraim and Menashe? There's a lot of good and important people throughout our Torah, throughout our Tanakh, throughout our nation, right? So why Ephraim and Menashe? Why not Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Ephraim and Menashe have something very, very unique about them. First of all, they were raised and brought up in Beit Paro, in Paro's home, in Egypt, far away from Am Yisrael, and they kept the traditions alive from Bet Yaakov, from the house of their grandfather Yaakov. They were linked, they were mechubar, they were connected to Am Yisrael. That's one aspect. Even if you're far, far away, you're always connected. But there's something a lot deeper, I think. Ephraim and Menashe are the first brothers in the Torah that didn't try to kill each other. Now that sounds like terrible, but it's true. If you think about Cain and Hevel, brothers that did not end well. Then you have Yitzchak and Ishmael. You have Yaakov and Esav. You have Yosef and his brothers. Until we get to Ephraim and Menashe, everybody's always having these eternal fights. But with Ephraim and Menashe, we see that even when their grandfather Yaakov gives them the bracha on his deathbed, and he twists his arms in order to give the more important, the more special bracha to the younger brother, they don't try to kill each other. Yosef sees this, he freaks out, he says, Abba, don't you know what's going to happen? And they look at him and they say, Abba, we'll figure it out. It's okay, we love each other. That's what every parent wants for their kids. You should figure it out. Figure it out. Life's not fair sometimes, that's true. Have love towards each other. Figure it out. That is the biggest bracha for a parent for their children. Figure it out. Be like Ephraim and Menashe. So that's the Torah Shebichtav. And then we have the quote from Masechet Pe'ah, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. Elu dvarim she'en lehem shiur. These are the things that don't have a quantity from the Torah. HaPe'ah ve'abikurim v'rayon, different halachas that we have in the field, okay? Ugmilut chasadim v'talmud Torah. Gemilut chasadim is doing kind deeds, good chesed, and learning Torah. Meaning, the Torah doesn't tell us how many good deeds someone must do a day, or how much Torah, how many dapim of Torah, how much time learning Torah someone needs to do a day. There are people that could do 1,000 good deeds a day, and there are other people that could only do one or two. Depends what life presents them with. Imagine you see an old lady trying to cross the street, and she has a lot of bundles, and you help her with her bundles. She goes across the street. That's a chesed. And then imagine that you get to the other side of the street, you see an old man that needs to get to the other side. Can you say to him, oh, I already did my chesed for today? No. There is no quantity. It's not like you do one chesed and that's it, check. You have to do as much as you could, as much as reality presents itself. The same thing with learning Torah. There are people like Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Zatzal. He would sit, they say, between 18 to 20 hours every single day learning Torah, b'dveikus. He would have people come into his office and then try to ask him questions. He would only want to sit and learn more and more and more Torah. That's amazing. Can everybody be Rav Chaim Kanievsky's? Are everybody supposed to be Rav Chaim Kanievsky's? No, because Am Yisrael, we have a lot of tzlachim. We have a lot of things that need to be done. And Hashem creates us in different ways. Some people are zocha to be Rav Chaim Kanievsky's, and the majority are not. Can everybody learn 1 minute of Torah a day? I'm sure yes. Can everybody learn 10 minutes? Probably yeah. An hour, 2 hours? I don't know. Everybody is mukhshal in different ways. Everybody has their own shlichut in this world. Does everybody need to learn Torah every single day? Yes. There's a mitzvah for every Jew to learn Torah every day. But there's no quantity because everybody has their tafkid in this world. I want to tell you a story about Menachem Begin. Menachem Begin was the Prime Minister of Israel. And in 1982, there was a mivtza called Opera. Okay, the opera operation, which is blowing up the the atomic bombs in Iraq. And he goes into the Hamal, to the war room, with all the generals of the army, and he's sitting with them, and they go over, they say, this is the amount of planes, this is how we're going to blow it up, everything, and he gives his ishul, he says, okay, go, do it. And the planes take off, he's in the Hamal, and he gets up, and he's leaving the room. And the generals say, Menachem Begin, Kvod Rosh HaMshala, sit here with us. We have all the screens. See what's happening. He said, I already gave my order. That's it. My job here is done. You're the generals. You have to be here active in the room. And he took a Sefer Tehillim. He went into his office and he said Tehillim. He said, this is the most I could do at this point. I already gave the order. Now I'm saying Tehillim. That's a wonderful story. But imagine a prime minister that would sit like Rav Chaim Kanievsky 18, 20 hours a day learning Torah. That would be terrible. Because the prime minister's job is to run the country. So he can't sit 20 hours a day learning Torah. But can he do the 10 minutes a day? Can he do a few Tehillim? Can he do an hour a day? Probably can. By the way, we had a prime minister that every single day would learn Torah. I'm talking about David Ben-Gurion. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of the state of Israel, he would learn a parak of Tanakh every single day. Right? I don't know if he was considered someone that was religious or secular. It doesn't matter. He would have that itim Torah. Every Jew needs to have that time a day, the Kodesh time, 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. There are people that do Daf Yomi. There are people that do Shtayim Mikra Chatargum, learning a little Torah every day. Everybody is obligated for something. Now we get to the Gemara, if I'm not mistaken, it's Masechet Shabbat, Daf Kuf Kaf Zayin. These are things that people do in this world, that they get enjoyment in this world, but the real sachar, the real enjoyment is for the world to come. Kibud avaim, respecting your father and your mother. Gemilut chasadim, doing chesed. Hashkamat bet midrash shacharit ve'aravit, going to shul or going to bet medrash in the morning, in the night. You get enjoyment from that. But the real sachar, ba'olam haba. Hachnasat orchim, when you bring in people that come from far. Ubikur cholim, visiting the sick. Hachnasat kala, making sure a chatan and kala could get married. Whether it's making them happy at their wedding, dancing, doing shtiks, whether it's giving them financial aid in order for them to get married, to have a home. Ulvayat hamet. Now, I always get asked about this, so I want to explain. Going to a levaya is a very sad thing, right? So what enjoyment are we talking about here? I very often feel after a levaya that you really appreciate the important things of life, because when you hear the hespedim, you hear what that person really cared about. They really cared about his family, taking care of Am Yisrael, doing tzedakah. Everybody has that thing that they're passionate about, and it really gives us a sense of purpose in this world. So It's not enjoyment like, I don't know, going to amusement park. Okay, a funeral is not like an amusement park, but there is enjoyment because you understand what's important in this world. V'yun tefillah, understanding davening, what we're doing here. I hope you guys are enjoying, but you should know that even if you're not, the real sachar is in the world to come. והבאת שלום בין אדם לחברו, ובין איש לאשתו, ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולם. Doing peace between two people. A lot of times, like, people can get into an argument. He said this, he did that. One of the things we could do is, oh my gosh, did you hear what he said about you? Or we could say, oh my gosh, did you hear what he said about you? It's the same words, but the nigun is different. Our job here is to make peace. If we're able to bring people together, a husband and wife, spouses, right? Sometimes there are merivot in a family, and within spouses, a husband and wife, they could get into an argument. But my job is not to say, oh my gosh, she's a terrible lady. No, you could say, wow, I feel for you, but you know what? You guys have something so special. You have that spark. We have to try to bring people together. And we'll get enjoyment from that in this world, and the sachar is ba'olam haba. But the last words here are a little bit confusing. It says, v'talmud Torah keneged kulam. Learning Torah is equivalent to this whole list. And the question is, learning Torah is very important, but learning Torah is equivalent to this whole list? How could that be? How could it be equivalent to Hachnasat orchim, bikur cholim, taking care of my parents, all these amazing, amazing things? And I think the reason is, it's just like when we get a driver license. We first have the written test, and then we have the actual test in the car. If we don't know the rules, if we don't know that doing kibud orim is a mitzvah, it's important. If we don't know that achnasat kala, levayat hamet, iyun tefillah, if we don't read this every single day, we might forget. We might not take it so seriously. But when you learn every single day Torah, and every single day you say kibud avim, kibud avim, kibud avim, every single day, it's going to bring us to a place that we respect our parents, we take care of them, that we respect the sick, that we help someone that passed away. It brings us to that place of doing. So our learning Torah is supposed to motivate us to be good people, to be better people. Does it happen naturally, automatically? You learn Torah, you become a better person? Not necessarily. It's avodat hamidot. We have to learn the Torah and then bring it to practice in our life. Have a wonderful day.